Bill Maher has been going off on liberals, I love to see it, on several sticking points of the resistance left, including child masking, the Freedom Convoy, and more. Here's Maher's take on masks in schools.
COVID survivability rate of 99.98%, mask up like bandits. Unfortunately, the thing that's getting stolen is their education, their sanity, and their social skills. A study this week from a professor at Johns Hopkins concluded that the lockdowns we all suffered through had little impact in reducing COVID deaths. Okay, that's kind of a big one to get wrong. Last July, President Biden said, "You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations." Well, I already knew that was wrong then, and now we all do. The former director of the CDC, Robert Redfield, believes COVID originated in a lab, and now our intelligence agencies agree it might have. But for months on social media, it was banned to even discuss it. Look, I'm not saying the medical establishment isn't trying to figure shit out or that they're corrupt, although there is some of that. But how about just wrong? Wrong a lot. Wrong about HIV, wrong about lockdowns, wrong about kids, wrong about how you couldn't get it if you were vaccinated. Remember washing our packages? And there's never been any research showing that outdoor transmission is likely or common, yet LA County says we're still supposed to mask up for big outdoor events, like we'll be at the Super Bowl. Well, supposed to.
And here's Maher on Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
I started to read what he said. This is a couple of weeks ago. He was, or maybe this is September, but he was talking about people who are not vaccinated. He said they don't believe in science. They're often misogynistic, often racist. No, they're not.
That was not smart of him at all.
Right. He said, but they take up space. And with that, we have to make a choice in terms of a leader as a country. Do we tolerate these people? It's like, tolerate them. Now you do sound like Hitler.
That was...
And recently he talked about them holding unacceptable views.
Wow. I'm surprised to hear that Trudeau said those things.
You didn't see the blackface? I mean, no, I'm kidding about that. I'm not, I mean, that was not a good look for him.
No, that's bad.
But, I mean, come on. I mean, that's, I think, what gets under people's skin.
Yeah, I mean, Maher has been killing it lately. I don't know if you guys have been watching. It's just, it's like, my words through his person. It's been great. Yeah.
Well, I think, though, that, I know people are looking at him and saying, well, see, Bill Maher's even flipped. But Bill Maher has always been a little bit more of a skeptic on this whole thing.
Yeah.
He was
He's
the one
kind of
that
libertarian.
He does have a lot of libertarian in him in a lot of social issues. And he even said, when they were saying, oh, it's time to get boosted, he's like, I'm not doing that. And remember when he got eviscerated for saying, I did it. I did the 2 shots. I took it for the team. I did what you told me to do, but I'm not going to go back and get another one. And so he was kind of dragged for that. And so I think he's been more on the libertarian side of this, but he makes really good points. And I think the best point that he made is, how long do you get to call yourself on the side of science and be continually wrong about the science?
Yep.
Guess we're going to find out. And then he makes a good point that they're not trying to screw this up, yet at the same time they're not coming at it with the level of humility that is often required in science, because science is a search for truth. It's not the truth. And that's where they got hung up over the last couple of years, where Fauci would say, well, what I say is the science, what I say is the truth. And then he would say, well, the science is always evolving. Well, okay, well, then you have to describe it as a more active process then. And if it's an active process, it has to allow for other hypotheses, other dissenting ideas to be entered into the conversation, because then it's a search, it's a conversation. It's not a final pronouncement from on high.
Well, and they've gotten themselves into a position, they being the CDC, the kind of public health bureaucracy, into such a position where it's supposed to be their word is like revealed religious truth. and you have to do whatever it is, and then people get very angry and confused when it changes, or they say, we got something wrong. Then sometimes, if pressed, then they'll default to what is correct. They'll say, well, look, this is just our guidance. This is what we think at any one time. Take it or leave it. We're not telling you what to do. Yeah, this came clear in this audio I got from Walensky the other day, when they're put it like, why won't you just say, we all know this is the case, why won't you just say, take the masks off in schools? And she'll be like, well, take them off if you want. We're just saying what we think. We're like, no, you've made it so that dissenting from you is heresy. You will be burned at the stake,
right.
Not literally, but socially burned at the stake by other members of Team Blue if you do that. So yes, you have to give that permission, which that's the frustrating thing to me.
And it continues on, even though the science continues to evolve and we learn more and more, people are still just holding firm. They're still saying, well, there's still vaccine mandates, or, private businesses are having vaccine mandates, even if the government doesn't anymore. And it's like, what exactly, where's the science on this? But they're not letting it go. So it does feel like it is more about a morality signaling than anything else.
That's what masks are. That, to me, that's what it's just. It's a bumper sticker, it's letting people know, I didn't vote for Trump, see, I have a mask.
Right, yeah, it's like, we're doing all this to own Trump still? Is that what we're
Couldn't
doing?
it be a t-shirt? Couldn't it be something that doesn't make it harder to breathe?
Do you think had Trump, though, do you think if he had won, and he was still in office, and he was the one pushing vaccines and saying, everybody get it, we got to end the pandemic, do you think that it would have been liberals on the streets, Team Blue on the streets actually protesting like the truckers? And do you think...
Well, I think it depends if Fauci was still there. And that's what was so interesting about the Trump year, is that you had both Trump saying whatever he was saying, and then you had Fauci at the same press conference. And so liberals could say, I don't trust Trump, and I don't trust the Trump administration, but Fauci's part of the Trump administration.
Right.
Well,
you saw a lot of that. You saw a lot of
right.
Democratic talking head type people saying, yeah, I'm not going to take the Trump vaccine unless Fauci says it's okay.
Right, if Fauci says it's okay. So as long as Fauci was there, I don't think you would have seen a huge upsurge.
All right, so then we'll blame all of this on Fauci, right? Again.
Fire Fauci.
Well, and that was why a lot of people didn't wanted him to stick around, because they're like, you're the one that people respect in the administration. And anybody that, you're going to replace him with Ronnie Jackson or whatever if he leaves.
Right.
I thought Birx had the better mix of like, well, here's what we think the science is, but we can't be too insane. But she was resisting becoming like an icon of the resistance, because for some reason, even though Fauci and Birx mostly agreed and mostly said the same things, somehow, because our brains have to work like this, like Fauci was being slotted in as this anti-Trump figure, and Birx was being slotted in as this like Trumpian figure. Like there was all that weird reporting on her about her, her moves and rise in like Republican circles, which was totally ridiculous.
Right. Well, there wasn't really any daylight between her and Fauci.
It's just funny. Yeah. Anyway,
she got to be there for the bleach one. Remember that?
Yeah.
He's the one that she's the one that he said
not
it to.
Whatever. Not as therapeutic. What did she say?
Not as a therapy or something.
Not as a therapy. Yeah. Not as prophylaxis.
Not as prophylaxis.
Whatever happened to her anyway? Where did she go?
She just retired. She did. I think she did like a maskless vacation or something at a bad time, and she was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm retiring.
Yeah. I think the smartest thing she did was get out of there. I mean, who wants to be connected to all of this at this point and have that be your defining moment in your career?
But there was great reporting in Scott Gottlieb's book about her frustrations with the CDC in the early days, and how just trying to get them to give data or to collect data, and they're just refusing to do it, and her trying to bootstrap it all herself. So very interesting stuff. Anyway, we'll be back with more Rising right after this.